Hey there, Abiding fam, and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for this video, but also a little bit saddened by it because we are doing a flip through of my 2018 spreads, which means this year is coming to a close. It was a really exciting year for me in the journaling world, and I'm excited to share with you what happened this year through my journals. But of course, if you're really interested in seeing these spreads up close, then be sure to just check out the original setup videos and all of the plan with me's that happened between the beginning of this year and now. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into my journals, and I'll stop and pause now and then on any spreads that I think deserve a little bit more recognition, or I want to talk about, or have something that I'd like to mention. But for the most part, I'm gonna try to just keep the pages moving so this video isn't crazy long. If you've been with me for a while, then you know that I actually started the year of 2018 in a ring bound binder. So I'm gonna start over here, and then we'll jump over into my lovely yellow minimalism art journal that I'm currently using for my bullet journal, and that I have a whole transition video for, in which I migrated my spreads from this one into the new one. So we're gonna start over here with the ring bound binder. So because I had transitioned most of my spreads, especially my collections and start of the year sort of spreads, over to my new journal, I don't really have anything here. I have the remnants of what was a year at a glance, and then I also have my goals page over here, and that's it. I don't think I did January spreads, which is kind of ironic because you would think at the beginning of the year that that is a time that you would be at the top of your game, but I don't have any January spreads in here, and I don't think I have a video up, which means I probably just didn't do any journaling that month, which is sad, but it's okay. That's the point of doing a bullet journal, is that you can skip months and it doesn't hurt your planner. I really loved using the watercolor effect in these spreads, and that's something I'd really like to bring back into my bullet journal. I haven't used watercolors in a while. This is one of my all-time favorite weeklies. I just love this layout with meal planning at the bottom and then this really pretty sleep tracker, and I love these roses at the top. We get into March. And this is when I started doing printables over on my Patreon, and my first printables were these really cute succulents, so I was really happy with how they turned out, and I feel like the printables have just been getting better and better, and hopefully my patrons feel that way as well. I love doing the little habit tracker over on this card here. And this is something I would really like to bring back, is doing what I'm grateful for each month and doing memory keeping in my bullet journal. I sort of went away from the memory keeping in my bullet journal because I do that in a traveler's notebook. If you're interested in learning more about that, I did a daily journaling challenge in which I journaled every single day of 2018. So I have all of my memories from this past year recorded, and I have tons of journal with me's in which I do that process. But because I was doing that process, I sort of stopped doing it in my bullet journal, and I would like to bring a little bit more of that back. This one, once again, just one of my favorite layouts. Here we get into April, and I love the Fine Tech watercolors on these pages. If you can see that little shimmer. This habit tracker is probably one of my all-time favorites, just because I was so proud of my creativity. It is quite possible that a habit tracker like this already exists out there on the internet, but I did not find it before creating this. This came completely from my own head. I did not find it on Pinterest, which I admit is true of a lot of my spreads. I typically go on Pinterest or the internet or Instagram and use that to inspire me, but this was inspired by my own imagination, and so I'm really proud of this particular habit tracker. Here again I have the watercolor with doing a white pen over it, and I love that, and some more printables from my Patreon. Here we get into May, and honestly, this was a month that I'm not very proud of. I really didn't like any of my drawings, and you can tell that I was just being a little sloppy with it compared to the time I usually like to put into my spreads, but that's okay. And I didn't really fill, for example, this gratitude tree. I was supposed to put a blossom on the tree for every time something happened that I was grateful for, and then write about it over here, and that did not happen. But you have to just give yourself grace and say it's okay. Here is a beautiful spread that I love, and I did this one over on my Patreon, so if you're interested in seeing this be set up, you can check out some of the exclusive videos over on my Patreon if you're interested in joining that tier. But unfortunately, even though I absolutely love the way it looks and set it up, I didn't actually use this spread. And that is something that you are going to see in quite a few of my spreads where I made them and then I didn't really use them, which I realize is a problem because the entire point of a bullet journal is for it to serve you and for you to use it to better your productivity or as a form of stress relief, which in that case it was. I do enjoy the creating process of it, even if I don't use the spread. Nonetheless, I really want to be better about using my journal regularly. So after May, I decided to move over into a bound journal, and I ended up not doing any form of planning in a journal in June. I just kind of stuck with my Google Calendar and memorizing things in my head, and that was enough for me. So really this journal begins in July, and you'll see that I did a lot of migration of some previous spreads, and so here is where you're going to see a lot of my collection type spreads. So I have my year in pixels. This is not something I intend to bring back in 2019. As much as I love the way the finished product looks, it looks so nice. The only reason I was able to continue filling this in is because I was doing daily journaling, and so often I would finish a month in my creative journal and then just go back and fill this in all at once. I was not filling this in daily, and without creative journaling there's no way I would have remembered how I actually was feeling on all of these days. So I'm learning that a lot of these types of trackers, while pretty to look at, aren't actually serving me in any way and aren't things that I actually want to be spending time filling in if it's not giving me some sort of result. And this is one of those where it doesn't matter too much for me personally how I was feeling each day. If you're somebody who is struggling with depression or anxiety, something like that, then I would see how a mood tracker or a year in pixels could be really beneficial. Or if you're trying to accomplish a goal and trying to see how often you work on a project, something along those lines, then this could be really useful. But for me personally this year it didn't really make sense. But the colors are very pretty to look at. Over here I have 2018 favorite reads, which I haven't filled in yet because I haven't decided yet which are my favorites, but I did fill in all of the books I read in 2018, and this is by far my favorite spread of my entire bullet journal. You could burn the rest, and as long as this page was still in existence, I would be okay. So for this page, I just have little printouts of all of the books that I read and their covers, so it's just a really visual representation of my reading experience this year, and I absolutely love it. I definitely want to continue a format like this where I get to see the cover of the books in my bullet journal. It's just something so special to be able to look back on. So I'm definitely going to keep something like this going for 2019. And I must say that this was just absolute pure luck that I happened to read 32 books, which was the exact number to fill up this entire page. So that worked out very nicely. A writing log is something I just want to start using more in 2019. I don't record every single time I write, which is very evident here. I've definitely written more than just these few times this past year, and I'd like to start keeping track of that better. This was an Instagram tracker, and obviously I had much higher expectations than were reality, but honestly I'm starting to sort of depart from Instagram. I'm not getting rid of my account or anything, but I am just allowing myself to be less obsessed with the numbers and tracking and posting, and it was just becoming a job, and it was becoming a job that had zero return. There was no return on that investment. If anything, it was hurting me because I was just constantly comparing myself and feeling bad about myself, and it just wasn't good for my psyche. And so I am definitely not worrying about tracking this sort of thing in 2019. And my main focus is gonna remain on YouTube. This was a really fun spread which showcases my ideal week, and I would like to do something again like this, maybe with an ideal day or morning routine or night routine, something like that. Video ideas. These are the movies we went to see this year. I do have a few more tickets that I need to add, like the Fantastic Beasts movie, of course, so I'll have to get onto that. And then we get into my monthlies, and I do have plan with me's for all of these monthlies. So if you see one you really like, go and check out the plan with me. I really loved the July one because it's just so bright and cheerful. And this habit tracker is so cool with the lemon wedges. I was really proud of that one as well. Another habit tracker that I was proud came from within my own head and not copied from somebody else. And this actually is available as a printable over on my Patreon, so if you like this and want to use it, you can print it out over on Patreon. Here is a really fun spread because it is my engagement spread. When we got engaged in July on the 15th, I made this little spread and took a photo with my ring in the center of the O. So there's my ring, so pretty. And it was just a fun way to commemorate, of course, a super exciting time in my life, and I love the little glitter on the florals. So that is a really fun spread for me. August was a very, very simple month. I just kept it as easy as possible because I knew that I wasn't going to be doing a ton of planning in August. I really like the way that this spread turned out. This was one that I did in my office with just the pens that I had available to me because I needed to get my thoughts down on the page, and it turned out really well. So it just goes to show that you don't need all of your craft supplies, all of your markers available to you to make a really nice, clean, pretty spread. Here again, you can see I started getting a little bit more simple, not caring as much what the spreads looked like as long as they were functional. This was a pretty habit tracker. I really liked the colors in that one. Nice calendar spread. I really liked the mixing of the colors for the dividers for the weeks. Another really easy weekly spread. This one was super easy as well. I just used Post-its to bring in some color. Here was super easy, just using washi tape to do the days of the week. And then you can see I just added one little printable. You could use a sticker, anything like that, to just bring a little pop to the page. And so that was super easy to do. And then we get into October, and this is possibly my favorite month of the entire year. I was obsessed with this look for my monthly, in which I just did it by week, and I really like that format, and I definitely want to replicate that in future months. Plus, I just absolutely adored all of the printables for this month. Every little drawing that you see on this page and in these spreads are printables from my Patreon, and I loved this month's printables so much. It was a cozy writer theme, and I thought they turned out really well. Here is where I tried out a Dutch door, and I loved using this. It was so functional for me, and this is definitely something I want to use again and again in 2019. Here is where I created a video on how to bullet journal when you're not feeling artistic or you just feel like you need more practice. And so I gave some really fun tips over in that video and created these spreads to explain those tips to you guys. So if you're interested in learning more about those tips, you can go and check out that video. I'll have it in the cards for you. The number one tip, of course, is to practice. And then we get into November, and this was, again, a really fun month. I really liked the way that this goals page turned out, with literally the only thing I did was change up the fonts, but I thought it looked really nice. Then we have this fun open book for the calendar. Here, a printable for National Novel Writing Month, because that's something that I attempted to do in November. I did not succeed, but I made a lot of progress on my novel, which was awesome. I started out doing a reflection a day in NaNoWriMo and then sort of fell off of that wagon. So quite a few empty spreads in this month because my main focus was on writing, not on filling in my bullet journal. Then we get into December, and I really loved these spreads. And I included some really fun ones like a little bucket list, and then gift ideas, so are under these little tags, which is fun. And then of course the advent calendar, which if you watched my December plan with me, then you would have seen how I created this, and I think it's super fun because there's working doors, and so I just love it so much. And then I created for this month a really easy, just all-encompassing to-do list. So I had a day where I just sat down and I said, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do this weekend? And what do I need to do the rest of this month? And so this has just been all I've been using for this month, and it's been working really well for me. With all that said, guys, that is where I currently am in my 2018 bullet journal, but the rest of these pages are just waiting to be filled up with 2019 spreads, so I hope that you'll check out that video when I release it. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, be sure that you do and hit the bell so that you know when that video is released and you can create those spreads alongside me. I'm really excited to do that and just to have this fresh start. I really want to start making using my bullet journal a priority again, because I know it's going to help me get the rest of my life in order as well if I just start really making it a priority to sit down with it every day and create my to-do list and figure out what are my top priorities for that day, and also to start using the trackers that I create so that I can really see my progress. And so that's my hope for my 2019 journal. Let me know in the comments what's something you struggled with in 2018, whether that was filling out trackers or creating a schedule to actually sit down and plan, and how you plan on tackling that challenge you faced in 2019. I know we're all at different stages in this journey, and I really believe that we can all learn from each other. So I hope you will talk to us in the comments and be a part of this abiding community, and I will look forward to seeing you guys in all of the 2019 Plan With Me's. I'm really excited to see this community grow and to continue planning together so that we can all live our own abiding lives. Thank you guys so much for watching. You all mean so much to me. Thank you for my patrons who make all of this possible with their kind, wonderful support. If you would like to consider joining my Patreon so that you can get these fun printables that you see on a lot of these spreads and exclusive videos like journal with me's and some weekly setups, etc., then be sure to check that out and consider joining us. That's everything I have for you guys this time, so I will see you in the next one and throughout 2019. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day full of abiding creativity, joy, and love.